And hello, this is Eamonn O'Brien, and you are so welcome to the Reluctant Speakers Club Expert Series. And coming up today, we're going to talk about the importance of, once you have a message, finding an audience for that message. And you can have the best product in the world and best ideas in the world, but if nobody knows about it, a remarkable thing will happen. Nothing. But I have a terrific expert here today who can really help you to be found and for people to get excited about your ideas. It is Dr. Emma Sutton, all the way from Yorkshire. Hello, hello. And Emma is known as the Queen of Diamonds, and she is the marketer's marketer. She is somebody who helps messages to glitter. And she's also a speaker. In fact, she is the current president of the Professional Speaking Association in Yorkshire. So, Emma, delighted to have you here.
Lovely to see you again, Eamonn.
Oh, listen, I'm going to jump straight in and ask you about the whole notion of speakers being found once they have an interesting idea. What are the most common challenges that speakers face in this issue?
Well, you know, if you ever go and meet a load of speakers, as we recently have at the conference, the question that everybody asks you is, what do you speak about? And if you're not careful, you end up with big, huge topics like business or finance or success or leadership. And that's great because there's clearly a market for those sort of things, but it doesn't help differentiate you from all the other speakers on leadership and business and marketing that are out there. So we really need to kind of hone that down and say, right, within that landscape, this is the bit that I do. This is the bit that I'm really good at. This is how I make a difference. Because we need to differentiate ourselves. If there's a conference on leadership, they need to know that you're not going to say the same thing as the person before you and after you in the program, because nobody ever wants that in a conference.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right, because oftentimes, you know, the speaker will know, look, I have a great level of expertise in this, but in order to kind of appeal to more people, they try to go more general so that more people might contact them, but actually the reverse is true, I guess.
I couldn't agree more. When I was first starting out, I was trying to teach presentation skills to entrepreneurs because I'd been to enough networking to know that they're not that great at talking about themselves. Couldn't get any interest at all. But the minute I said how to get a wow when you're asked what do you do, it clicked with them and they could see the point of it. They didn't want the generic presentation skills. They wanted the answer to that question.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So I think niching down is actually really important, particularly in a business or if you've got a big topic as like leadership or business or marketing or anything like that.
Yeah. Now, you, of course, have done a mad amount of research into what works and what doesn't. So maybe you'd share just a few nuggets, top things that work and things that you mustn't do because they are tragic errors.
Okay. Right. So the one thing I wanted to look at was speaker sheets, because it's kind of like a standard form of marketing that you can have online and offline. And I thought, well, I want to start with this. So I'll have a look at loads and I'll get loads of examples of fantastic practice and I'll just cobble together the best of all of that and make my own. And it turned out that most speaker sheets weren't that great. Yeah. I thought, okay, well, what's really going on here? And the more I looked at them, the more I realized that we don't really talk about the value we bring to our audience enough. We talk about ourselves and our background and 20 years of experience and flying around the world and all that sort of stuff. But actually your audience doesn't really care about that.
Nope.
They care about what you are going to do and how you're going to make their lives better. And the first place we need to get that across is our talk title. So it's like the headline of a newspaper. You go up to a newspaper stand and there's lots of different headlines. Which one are you going to pick up? Which one makes you curious enough to want to read it? You know, which one on the conference? If you've got multiple sessions at a conference, which you quite often have, and you have to pick between, people are going to pick on your title. That's all they've got, your title and your name usually. And I feel that lots of speakers sort of spend all this time creating fantastic expertise and content and everything like that and bang almost anything together for a title.
Yeah.
So the classic example is, and I'll take leadership because leadership is the biggest topic in the speaking world, is what they do is they bling it. And all they do is they stick a pretty word in front of leadership. So I've seen every example. I've seen visionary leadership, visible leadership, fierce leadership, effective, my least favorite word ever in a talk title, but it still doesn't tell me what you do. You know, I'd much rather you said stop leading. The world needs no more leaders. I'd be more interested to hear that than another single talk entitled effective leadership.
Yeah.
Because I'm not interested in that.
It's all very textbook, isn't it? You know, and maybe it's just that people go to what they think is a safe harbor.
Safe, but forgettable. That's the problem. You know, you talk to people and they go, I speak on leadership. And then people go, can you find an expert that talks about using this in leadership? And you go, well, I don't know, because he talks on leadership. Is that a good match? You know, people have specific problems, not my problem is leadership. My problem is either the fact that they won't delegate, or they don't talk to each other, or everyone knocks at the other groups, or, you know, they've got very specific problems. And if we've got a title as broad as leadership, nobody can tell. So there's a great title on leadership by a woman from America called Courtney Anderson. And her title is, so her talk is titled, If My Title Says I'm a Manager, Why Do I Feel Like a Babysitter?
Oh, I like that.
Exactly. It got a response, because either you look at that and think, oh, that's how I'm feeling and I need to know how to resolve this, or you think, well, I'm not feeling like that. And that's great. We should be annoying people with our talk titles, or we should be at least telling them that they're not in the right place, as much as we tell them they're in the right place.
Yeah, in fact, you and I were chatting over the weekend at a conference, and you had a great title about a platypus. What was that again? Remind me.
Oh, this is David Abbott's talk about how to price a platypus. And he talks about our consulting and our speaking skills are as amorphous and intangible as a platypus, and we don't know what they're worth. And he talks very much about how to improve your prices, and how the way you price yourself makes a difference on how people perceive your expertise. But he came to a talk that I did about talk titles and one sheet, and initially his talk title was Come On Down, the Price is Right, or The Psychology of Pricing. And I went, nobody cares about the psychology of pricing. What do we care about?
Yeah, I love
money.
it.
We care about things like, I can't charge that. How to get over the I can't charge that. Whatever,
yes.
Disease. There's all sorts of different variations on that are all much more interesting than just something like the psychology of pricing. Which makes it a bit, for me, it's fine, but it's forgettable.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think it's such an important thing, because ultimately people have to buy the promise, and the promise has to be interesting. And if it's wonderfully vague, people will be wonderfully disinterested.
Absolutely. And they won't know whether to turn up to your session, or just, go and have a break and go for a coffee and get a bit of fresh air, or anything else for that matter.
Yeah. And actually, just to add to that, particularly for the folks who watch this in the States, increasingly when you go to larger conferences, you will have multi-tracks on, where you might have a choice of 2, 3, sometimes 10 different things. So really, if you don't stand out and cause people to give a hoot, you're not going to have a lot of people sitting in front of you. But let's just kind of close out, because this is a conversation you and I could have for, but because we're going to be wonderfully succinct, I want you maybe just to think about one of the most important lessons that you have picked up, both in terms of how you use titles, but in terms of how you create visibility for yourself, that you wish you knew at the outset. What was that?
I think I wish I knew that there is a market for me being me. So, I do some little drawings.
Yes, I love them.
And I kind of hid that away for quite a lot of time, but actually they've now become a big part of my branding. And I've never been all that comfortable in these sort of very dour suited black suits and black skirts and things. So I've kind of gone, well, why should I? And now I wear much more colourful things on stage. And actually, I think what I found is that actually makes me more visible. And people get to see what they're getting. And some people won't like it because they want a pinstriped speaker. And that's fine, but I'm never going to be that person. And actually, the more I try and be something I'm not, the less connected I am to my real voice, because my voice is not here. It's here. It's in my heart. It's in my spirit and my soul. So I think that whole thing about embracing exactly who you are and everything you are, and all the quirky bits and all the weird bits, and kind of saying, yes, I am a geek. I love technology. I love drawing, and I love to dress up a little bit in pretty frocks. And you know what? I can be all of those things. And actually, that's a good thing for me.
No, I couldn't agree more. Listen, this has been absolutely fabulous. I knew that it would be, and maybe we can do this again on another topic down the line.
Sure we can, Eamonn.
Yeah. Well, listen, Emma, thank you so much for joining with me today. And thank you also for watching today. These are really important messages. And I hope you take them away and that you can use these and turn whatever titles you have in your head into something that people will really care about. So until the next time, here's to awesome speaking.